Hi friends, welcome to my channel. I'm Arpita Karwa and today we are starting a brand new series where we are going to dive into the chronological history of English literature, covering all the ages and most important writers and works in each of these ages. This series will act like a crash course for those who are preparing for UGC NET English, and today we are diving into the first important age, that is the Anglo-Saxon Age. This era is really important because it lays the foundation for everything that comes after in English literature. In this video, we are going to be covering three most important things. We are going to look at the Anglo-Saxon age, the socio-historical and political background. Then we are going to look at how the people wrote back then. So, Anglo-Saxon age was the first age when English as a language started to getting developed. So, we are going to look at how people were writing during that time when English as a language was just starting. And then we are going to also look at the most famous works from this particular time that are constantly repeated in NET exam. If you need a quick revision of Anglo-Saxon age in just 10 minutes, this revision capsule is for you. So let's jump right into it and make the most of our time together. Also, before I forget, let me tell you that all the points that we are going to discuss in this video, we are going to share with you in a PDF format. So whatever you see on screen during this video, all of that is available in a PDF format, and to avail that PDF, you just have to drop a WhatsApp message on the number that is displayed on your screen, and my team is going to send that PDF right on your phone. So now let's begin by looking at the first important topic, that is the socio-political background of the Anglo-Saxon age. Now this period is also known as the Old English period, and this spans from 5th century to 1066 AD. So about 400 years or 500 years you can say this period lasted for. Now here what you need to remember friends is that Anglo-Saxon period is known as the Old English period. Don't get confused with normal or Middle English period, because right after Anglo-Saxon period comes the Norman age, Anglo-Norman age. And a lot of people think that Anglo-Saxon age and Anglo-Norman age are one and the same thing, but they are not. This is the period which is referred to as Old English period, or it is also known as the Anglo-Saxon period. This period is often referred to as Dark Age because there were very few written records from this time, making it somewhat mysterious. We do not know because written tradition wasn't popular during this time. People were generally passing down the works in oral form. So we don't have a lot of written records from this period. Now, you might ask that why is this period called Anglo-Saxon period? Now, this era gets its name from the tribes such as Angles, Saxons and Jutes, who were tribes that came from Germany and they migrated and settled in England, mixing it with the native people. So, in England, there were some native people who were already there, and then these three tribes from Germany came and they mingled with these people, and that gave birth to something called the Old English language. And that is why it is known as the Anglo-Saxon period, because Angles and Saxons were the dominant tribes during this period. Now, under the Anglo-Saxons, Britain was divided into 7 kingdoms, also known as the Heptarchy. Now, these included Northumbria, Mercia, East Anglia, Essex, Sussex, Wessex, and Kent. I'm sure that you must have heard these names while you went through the plays of William Shakespeare, because all these characters and places are repeatedly talked about in his plays. For example, Kent was a character in King Lear. So these were nothing but the kingdoms that were prevalent during the time of Anglo-Saxon period. Now, it's very helpful to remember these names for your exam, because at times they are going to give you a question asking that which of them was not a kingdom during the Anglo-Saxon period. Now, think of this like when a relative from outside India comes to stay with you and they bring their customs and language. This is what exactly happened during the Anglo-Saxon period, because the Anglo-Saxons brought their Germanic language, which heavily influenced what we know today as English language. Now, friends, Old English was highly inflectional. That means, it was very complicated when it came to the rules of grammar, and that is the reason why it went through a transitional period where it became really simple and something that everyday people can communicate in. Now, in addition to the Germanic roots, if I want to also talk about something else, I would tell you that Old English was influenced by Latin, Old Norse, and Celtic languages. So these were three additional uh, languages that impacted Old English development. So we know that Anglo-Saxons and Jutes, the three Germanic communities, they impacted Old English language. Apart from that, the three other influences were Latin, Old Norse, and Celtic languages. And all of them together enriched the vocabulary and complexity of what we today know as English language. Now, finally, to finish this section, the last important thing that I would want to talk about is the Anglo-Saxon period end. So, when did this era come to an end? And this came to an end with the invasion of Vikings and Normans. In 787 AD, Viking forces began their attacks, and this era officially ended in 1066 AD at the Battle of Hastings, where William the Conqueror, the Duke of Normandy, defeated King Harold Godwinson, who was the English ruler at that time. And that is when Normans brought with them the French language, significantly influencing English society and language. So, this is how the entire era was socio-politically influenced. So it began when the Germanic tribes, Anglo-Saxons and Jute, came from Germany, brought their language and started inflecting it in English, Old English. And it came to an end when Vikings and Norman kings started conquering parts of Britain, and they brought with them French language, and that is where Anglo-Norman period started. After having a detailed discussion on the socio-political and historic background of the Anglo-Saxon age, it's time to look at another important topic, another important branch, that is literary characteristics of Anglo-Saxon age. So the primary forms of literature during this period included number one, epic poetry. Now epic poetry, I'm sure you must be aware of, they showcase grand tales of heroes and battles, and Beowulf is the most famous example of epic poetry that was written during this time. Then, after epic poetry, we have another interesting form of poetry, that is heroic narratives. Now, these narratives celebrated courage, loyalty, and deeds of the warriors. So, as you can see, a lot of literature was around battles, warriors, heroes, celebrating their tales, celebrating how kings and their warriors used to fight in battles. But that was not just the only theme that was tackled during this age. We also have something called religious text. Now, Anglo-Saxons were originally pagan. That means they believed in multiple gods and nature-based traditions. However, this changed in 597 AD when St. Augustine brought Christianity to England. This led to the creation of many religious texts, blending Christian teaching with the traditional Anglo-Saxon culture. And last, we have something in prose. So far, we have been talking about poetry that was written during this period. But then there was something also in the domain of prose writing, and that was done by King Alfred the Great, an Anglo-Saxon king who played a key role in promoting literature during this time. He translated important Latin texts into Old English to make them accessible to general people. One of his most notable contribution was the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, which is a historic record of events from that particular period. And his efforts greatly enriched Anglo-Saxon prose literature during that time. So this was something about the literary characteristics of this period. And now let us move on to the next section, where we discuss the most important literary works that are repeatedly asked in UGC NET exam from this particular age. Now, before we dive into next section, there's a small message for all of you. If you're looking for detailed lectures which can cover the entire UGC NET English syllabus and help you with the preparation, then you can consider or enrolling in our online video course for UGC NET English. In this video course, we cover all the important works and all important writers, be it British literature, American literature, post-colonial, European, Indian. All of them are covered in detail from the point of view of UGC NET English. all the writers and works are explained in animated manner, and we are right now India's only uh, online coaching institute that provides animated lectures to make learning fun and engaging in the domain of UGC NET English preparation. There's a long list of writers based on the past year papers that you should cover for your UGC NET preparation, and that list of writers are displayed free of cost on my website arpitakarwa.com. You can go and check out those writers, and all of them are covered in detail in our online course. For each of these writers, the most important work summaries are presented to you in animated video format so that they can get fixed in your memory, and you don't have to mug up the details, you don't have to mug up the characters. Apart from that, we also have detailed lectures on literary theory and criticism. You can check out the details that are given in the description box below, or you can alternatively give a call or drop a WhatsApp message on the number displayed on your screen. So, with that note, let's move on and look at the most important literary works of Anglo-Saxon Age. The first one, as we discussed earlier as well, is from the domain of epic poetry. Now, epic poems are long narrative poems that tell the story of heroic deeds and adventures, and the most classic example of epic poem is Beowulf, which is one of the most famous Anglo-Saxon epic that narrates the heroic journey of a character named Beowulf as he fights monsters like Grendel and a fierce dragon. And you will be shocked to know that this is also one of the longest epic poem of all time. Next, we have heroic poetry. As the name suggests, these kinds of poetry celebrate bravery, loyalty, and warrior spirit of the Anglo-Saxon people. Now, a classic example of heroic poetry is Battle of Maldon that captures the courage of Anglo-Saxon warriors in their fight against the Vikings, highlighting their sense of honor and sacrifice. And you'll be surprised to know that Anglo-Saxons actually lost this Battle of Maldon war, and yet the poetry celebrates their vigor, their charisma, and their courage. Next up, we have elegiac poems. As you can see from the title itself, these are the poems that are basically nothing but elegy. And as you know, elegies are poems that express themes of sorrow and loss. And one very beautiful elegy that was written during this period was The Wanderer, that portrays sense of loneliness throughout the poem. Next up, we have religious texts that were written during this period, because we saw that Christianity became popular, and St. Augustine was spreading Christianity during this period. So, religious texts became really, really popular. And when we talk about religious texts, the first important poem that I would want to talk about is Dream of the Rood. Now, this describes the crucifixion of Jesus Christ from the perspective of a cross, combining Christian ideas with Anglo-Saxon poetry style. So, basically, the cross on which Jesus Christ was crucified, that cross is narrating this entire poem. So, it's a very beautiful poem written from a very different angle. Then, after this, we have Wolf. This is again a poet who wrote a lot of poems like Juliana, Eileen, and all of these poems, they focus on Christian faith and teachings. So, Dream of the Rood was a poem, whereas Wolf was a poet. Okay. Another important religious text is Caedmon's hymn. Now, Caedmon again is a poet, and his hymns is the oldest known poems in Old English, and they were written by Caedmon, and in all these hymns, he praises God as the creator of everything. Now, talking about prose, we have Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, a historical record that was initiated during the rule of King Alfred the Great. And if you talk about King Alfred the Great, another person who supported him was Elfric. Now, Elfric was an Anglo-Saxon monk, and he wrote sermons and religious texts in Old English to educate people about Christianity. So, both of them together came up with something known as Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. Now, another interesting work is Manuscript Illumination. Now, these are nothing but manuscripts that had colorful illustration and decorations. And manuscripts during the Anglo-Saxon age were more than just written text. They were beautifully decorated works of art. And that is the reason why we call these manuscript illuminations, because they are nothing but these illustrations and decorations that are added to a manuscript to make it look even more beautiful. So that was all about Anglo-Saxon age and all that you need to know about this age from UGC NET English exam perspective. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any more suggestions, if you want me to make any more videos on other topics, then feel free to put that in the comment section below and I'll be more than happy to work on those videos as well. So that's it from my side for this video lecture. We'll meet very soon in the next video lecture. Till the time we meet next, happy learning. Keep loving literature and stay tuned to arpitakarwa.com.